Brexit means Brexit.
Yeah.
It's an old slogan, but a new party.
We've got to have a real shockwave through the whole system, sort them out. The two-party system's broken.
And they're helping to break it, according to one recent poll, which suggested the Brexit party is ahead of both Labour and the Tories combined.
Well, lovely to meet you.
Ready? Yeah.
Campaigning in the East Midlands is one of the party's biggest stars.
And what's your name?
Annunziata.
I noticed that you only use your first name when you introduce yourself. Is Rees-Mogg, is it a problem?
No, but there aren't many Annunziatas. I don't always need it.
Are you embarrassed by your surname? No. Is it a help or a hindrance?
Neither.
Really?
It's my name. I live with it.
David Cameron was once embarrassed by it. When Annunziata Rees-Mogg stood as a Tory candidate, he asked her to change her name to the more socially inclusive Nancy Mogg. She refused. Her latest bid for office comes as a new report warns that widening inequalities are undermining trust in democracy.
You admit yourself you're from a very privileged background. Do you think you can relate to the people here that you're representing? You know, people who are struggling with unemployment, other issues?
Of course, we're all humans and we all have difficulties in our lives. I was very lucky to be born into the family I was. Obviously, you don't choose your family, that's where you end up.
The East Midlands is a huge constituency of around 4 million people and reflects the divisions being felt across the country. Although the Brexit party is confident of big wins here, as we've all learnt by now, nothing can be taken for granted.
So Nigel Farage has rebranded himself now. It's the Brexit party, not UKIP, but you're still not impressed?
No, absolutely not, no. No. I think we need something bigger and better than Nigel Farage, if I'm honest.
I don't want us to be in Europe, so what's the point of me sending my vote to send somebody to Europe when I don't want them to be there? It's just a waste of vote.
I think all the politicians have let us all down from all parties.
Will you vote?
I think you should use your vote.
She always makes me vote.
Making or persuading people to vote may be the real battle. Turnout for European elections has historically been low. But could the current state of British politics influence numbers?
This is the first time that the whole of the UK is voting since Theresa May lost her majority in 2017. Perhaps inevitably, this election is being fought as a proxy contest on Brexit.
If the Brexit party get 5 million votes, the question to ask them is what happened to your other 12.5 million votes?
Hoping to galvanise the Remain vote, the Lib Dems, Greens and Change UK at a hustings in Derby.
You all have a very similar message on Brexit. Is there a danger that you're going to split the Remain vote?
We don't just work here on Remain. Yeah, we are political parties, very different policies. Now, Change UK, and you're a lovely guy, I don't want to be nasty here, but I don't actually know what policies they have apart from Remain.
We may not have policies, but is that not exciting that we are putting together? No? Listen, Lib Dems created austerity together with the Conservative.
Tactical voting is for the strongest party, and at the moment, having just elected more than 700 councillors, more than we had before, we are seen as the strongest Remain party.
At the end of the day, there's a chance to take away the Tory voters and there's a chance to take away Labour voters. And we've just got to say, this is the positive reason why we need to remain in the EU. Yeah. I don't care who they vote for.
Well, that man just said we need to get the Brexit parties out.
That won't happen.
It won't be easy for them. At the last European elections in 2014, UKIP was the insurgent party that voters turned to. They gained 24 seats and changed the course of British politics. But for some voters, that seems like a long time ago.
I don't care about Brexit because I don't know what it's all about, to be perfectly honest. I don't know whether we're in, we're out, or what it'll entail.
Well, we're still in, I'm afraid.
Are we?
UKIP have been left with just 3 MEPs after multiple defections, mainly to the Brexit party.
Now, there are some bits of Derby that have got a high Muslim population. I notice you're not canvassing there.
Oh yeah, actually I do have some very Muslim, some of our Muslim residents, and they do support me.
The party's been accused of Islamophobia and lurching to the right after appointing the ex-EDL leader Tommy Robinson as an advisor.
He's against some of the extremists in that religion, and that's the problem. And a lot of people support that. But it's not an issue for UKIP.
What do you mean a lot of people support that, you mean?
Well, what I mean is we shouldn't be supporting terrorists.
Whilst the other parties were busy campaigning, in Leicester I found that the Tory candidate had time for tea.
Usually when we meet candidates, they're out campaigning or they've got a stall and they're handing out leaflets. That's not happening with the Tories this time. What's going on?
Well, everyone was taken by surprise by these elections. We weren't expecting to fight them.
And some say they're not expecting to do well either, after losing 1,300 council seats. The party hasn't even had an official campaign launch or published a manifesto.
Are they a bit embarrassed by these elections? It's as if they don't want to campaign.
Well, nobody wants these elections to take place. We thought we were leaving the European Union on 29th of March, but the withdrawal agreement didn't get through the House of Commons.
All of the cities in this constituency, except Leicester, voted leave, including those held by Labour MPs, a classic conundrum for Jeremy Corbyn, who's been trying to appeal to all sides.
But you're sitting on the fence. With Labour, people don't know where you stand.
I think people do know where we stand, and that's, we've spent 3 years trying to find a way to respect the outcome of that referendum whilst also not crashing the economy.
If they do persuade voters to dance to their tune, the MEPs who are elected next week won't, of course, have any direct say in the ongoing Brexit negotiations. And yet, indirectly, their influence is already being felt. Darshna Soni, Channel 4 News in the East Midlands.
And here is the full list of parties and independent candidates in the East Midlands European parliamentary election.